Why do I coach? That's a complicated question.
What do you love about coaching?
I mean, if I'm being selfish, like, I have a really awesome schedule that's pretty in my favor, so I do love that. But like, I think it comes down to this. So I spent 5 years of my life in another world, if you will, where I could have gone 9 hours a day and not talked to a single soul. Like, just the reality of the work I was doing is it was just kind of put your head down, do the job, show up, clock out type thing. And it's not as satisfying in my opinion. So when I had an opportunity to do something like this, obviously I'm not the most social person in the history of the world, but I don't fatigue being around people. So definitely like an introverted type individual, but I'm rambling now. But the idea being is, I think being around people is a good thing. I think the older I get, the more I realize that just how well you can kind of connect with other people is kind of one of the joys in life, I guess. So having an opportunity to do that every day is pretty awesome. And then again, just helping people hold themselves accountable, because I mean, one of the things I always say is that the easiest person to let down in the world is yourself. So I think giving people an opportunity to sort of avoid letting themselves down and sort of staying more on track of themselves and their goals, their journey in life, if you will, you know, this type of job has given me a lot, so I hope that what I can do in return is give people a lot via fitness, health, exercise, whatever you want to call it.
So what's something that like inspires you or makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside when you see something happen within these four walls? Like, what is something that you're really just like, man, that's cool?
That's a tough one, because I'm definitely not the bubbly exterior, run across the gym to high five somebody type thing. But I guess what kind of makes me happy, I guess, or warm and fuzzy inside, if you will, is when somebody achieves something that they've worked hard for. And what I mean by that is, like, yeah, it's great to, like, you know, PR your 2K row or pick up something off the floor you've never picked up before. But when it's like, I have this goal that I would like to accomplish 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 2 years from now, and you succeed that goal, that is a very, very satisfying thing, because, you know, long term, lots of people, I think, struggle to make realistic goals in the long term, or even consider making goals in the long term. I think a lot of it is today, tomorrow, even maybe a month from now, but I think being able to tunnel vision a little bit and say, I have this specific goal that I'd like to be able to do a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever it is, and then just being able to sort of say, like, hey, this is why process needs to be this way, and, like, you know, if you have a plan, things will happen. I always akin it to, like, you know, the first day of university, you're not like, I'm going to get my degree tomorrow. It's like, well, 4 years from now, your goal is to get your degree. Now, obviously, not everybody's going to have those goals inside of the gym, and that's fine. But some individuals are saying, 2 years from now, I want to be able to do this, and 3 years from now, I want to be here, and 4 years from now, I want to be there. Again, that's probably only 5% of the population, mind you. But again, it's a nice, refreshing, and just a different way to approach things. That's not saying it's more valuable than the other, but it is definitely one of those things where you're like, hey, this person's kind of done it differently, and I appreciate when somebody wants to do things differently.
Cool. I just have one question for you, because you work pretty closely with a 14-year-old and then also with a 60-year-old. Like, how's that? How is that different? How do you manage those different ends of the spectrum?
That's a good question. I mean, with the teen, she's just about to turn 15. Sometimes I just even find myself using words that she doesn't even understand yet. So I feel like I'm getting older in the sense that I have a harder time relating to the youth now. But just what's great about her is that she's like a blank canvas. No real opinion on anything. She hasn't been, kind of quote unquote brainwashed by anybody or anything just yet. It's just kind of like, say jump, how high, how much weight, this much. Do you believe I can lift this? Yes, I do. Then she'll lift it. So it's like, it's very easy to say, hey, I know you can do this, therefore go and do it. The other end of the spectrum, it's almost the opposite to a certain degree, where you're constantly getting different perspective of a different generation, obviously. I mean, my older client, she's old enough to be my mother, so there's some mothering there that goes on to a certain degree.
She brings you lunch?
She brings me lunch sometimes, which is great. But I think the other thing with that is just like, with somebody like that is, they want more and more and more and more, and the expectations are much higher because you see other people around you, and she would even compare herself to the teenage girl, like, well, she can do that and why can't I? It's like, well, you're in two different places in life with two different means to an end, with two different goals, with two different, commitment levels. Like 14-year-old girl, she's training, 12, 14 hours a week. The other's training 4. She's not going to get to the same place doing the same things because it's just different. So, it's interesting training people at both ends of the spectrum and different ages, obviously, because I feel like in one moment I'm the parent, and then in the next moment I'm being parented to a certain degree. So, yeah, lots of different hats, but yeah, that's kind of the sweet part about this job is no 2 days are the same.